should we do introductions off camera, on camera? You guys tell me, but I just like to know who I'm talking to, so the next time I come back, I can talk to the same people the next time. Because, you know, the landscape keeps changing every day, and I'm just trying to figure out a consistent group of people to talk to, so we can move some things forward. So are you guys opposed to doing introductions? Okay, then we'll do introductions. So you let me know when we're rolling.
We're going right now, Chief.
Oh, okay. So I'm Harold Scoggins, Fire Chief.
I'm JJ, Area Security during the day.
Code, evening, overnight security. Matthew, Capitol Hill Representative.
Carmen, Capitol Hill Business Representative.
I am Shannon. Mommy Hara, Seattle Public Utilities.
Yeah, and so first I want to thank you guys for continuing to have an open ear, have an open mind, and continue to help us engage in conversations on how we move things forward. I want to do a couple of things this morning, well, probably three, and I'll go over the order. I want to talk about the things that have been done that you may not be aware of, that you know, the mayor has already moved forward, that she's heard from the different protests, and I think you'll acknowledge that that's forward movement. I want to talk about the fire and life safety issues. That's why I came out here Tuesday morning, is, you know, having access and egress for people who live in this space and who are protesting in this space is critical. And on Tuesday morning, we started to try to reshape it a little bit, but over the last several days, it's probably gotten more fortified than reshaped. You know, with the vehicles in front, and all of those things. We just can't access this area right now. And that's just what it is. That's just real. I mean, if a person's on the second or third story in one of these apartment buildings, our medic units, our aid cars, our engines, you can tell me all day long that you can open up that space really quick to get us in, but you can't. And that's what reality is. And then number three, what's our go forward plan, and how do we, that's a collective discussion on how do we move forward with change. So the first piece I want to just highlight you guys on is some of the things that the mayor's heard over the last week or 2 weeks. For example, I'll start with the morning badge. Change to clearly show the officer's name and badge number. So that policy change has already been made as a result of these events. Body-worn video recording at protests. Policy change by executive order to record during demonstrations. That request was heard and that policy change was made. Directed CPC, OIG, OPA, BLM, ACLU, and others to engage community to develop a new permanent policy. So the executive order addresses it right now, but this group is going to come together to determine the permanent changes. So the protests now, the body-worn cameras will be on.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, let me just get through them and then we can, because I don't have a lot of detail because I'm not in these discussions.
Absolutely.
But I do know I heard that from the protesters also. Consent decree, pending motion has been withdrawn. So you may have saw the news there that the city attorney with the mayor, they withdrew the motion to end the consent decree. So that motion has now been withdrawn. That's another thing. SPD use of force policy. Policy updated to meet and exceed the 2016 campaign 08 can't wait policy. So this is another piece. I don't know I'm not a police officer by trade, so I'm just speaking to what has been communicated. Inquest lawsuit. Mayor requested City Attorney Holmes to withdraw, and City Attorney did withdraw, and that's the inquest lawsuit. I'm not sure the details there, but I'm sure that came by way of one of these requests. National Guard redeployed. As of Friday, June 13th, all National Guard personnel have been redeployed and are no longer supporting SPD at demonstration. So the mayor heard that request, and that was also done. No filing of charges against protesters. Mayor requested City Attorney not to file charges for misdemeanors related to protests. Since June 9, 6 arrests made on misdemeanors and 5 have been released, 1 remaining in custody. So movement is happening on that front there. The next one, Mayor requesting statewide independent investigations of officer-involved shooting. So starting to request outside people coming in to do these investigations. Once again, I don't have the line by line, but,
Sure.
and I'm almost done, so. I
Okay,
just-
absolutely.
Yeah. Next one is launching a website by the end of June to improve transparency and tracking of OPA, which is the Office of Police Accountability investigations on officer discipline and appeals cases. So, should be more transparent. Once the website is up, you'll be able to track the cases, you'll be able to see. Another one, transfer of Fire Station 6 to the community. That's at Yesler and 23rd, you know, old Fire Station 6 right there. That movement has now started. The next one, Black Lives Matter strike included, and email to city employees to be able to participate in statewide general strike. That took place yesterday. You had probably thousands of city employees and many of the directors of departments who participated in that march. The next one, ban the use of tear gas as crowd control management tool. That was another one. So, and then there's one more that came through on the text that I'll just make sure I touch on. Also, $100 million reduction. It's not necessarily all from SPD's budget at this time, and they're working to clarify that. The mayor gave that at the press conference. And so that's a lot of bullet points. So let's pause there and talk about it.
Well, I just have one question.
Yeah.
Do we look stupid to you? Do I look stupid?
I'm not here because anyone looks stupid.
All of those things on the list should already be done. The fact that like she's going to go back to a 2016 promise, that's insane. The fact that they should remove the things and keep their body cameras on, that I know that there may be a demand, but that's not a win. These officers should be doing that already. Half that list that you already said, 3/4 of that list, should be things that they should already be doing.
So here's how
The consent decree and all this stuff, the 2016 thing, I mean, that.
I think if I could jump in here, I'm sorry. If I could just jump in here real quick, I think Chief Scoggins, especially for issues that aren't fire and safety, I think Chief Scoggins is here kind of delivering the message. So he's the messenger on that.
That's an insult to the people that got gassed and they got shot by the rubber bullets.
Yeah.
There should be, I shouldn't have to watch his stream to see that. That should be on a body cam.
I get it.
And this is just trying to, play after the mess is already made.
Yeah.
I think that's incredibly insulting.
So I'll say a couple things to that. And one, I'm not in any of these conversations to make any of these changes. There's a lot of other people working on that. But two, they weren't done, and they now have been done. So I get your mindset that they should have already been there, but the reality is they weren't, but they are now as a result. So that's good. Some forward momentum. And the body cam issue is a little more complicated than saying they should have already been on, because I don't think they were allowed to be on.
There was people that had them on, people that didn't have them.
There was rules behind when they can turn the body cams on.
Sure.
So that's been changed. So even though I get your point that it's not enough, I get all that, but what I know is the mayor has heard and the mayor is listening, and this is a lot of work that's been done, and there's a lot more movement behind it. So I can't give you the details of any of these things.
I think the guys might want to, because Chief Scoggins is one of the people who kind of comes down here, who actually has some weight in the city because he's a fire chief, but he ain't carrying no bags with him. And so I would just, me personally, I would say that, man, this is maybe an ongoing conversation. Is a good way to deliver the messages forward that you want.
And I'm not going to take that outrage out on you.
And that's what I'm saying.
I think that's preposterous, because I've studied that manual, the SPD manual.
Yeah.
And I, extensively. The use of force at de-escalation should have been the first policy. The fact that they didn't approach the barrier in a provoking manner violates everything that you guys stand for.
So
That's just insane. Time,
showed up
distance,
in riot gear.
communication, time, and distance. That's what you guys. Well, okay, not you specifically.
I got you.
But they, I think that's very noble that you come over and read these demands. But I think
I'm not reading the demands. I'm reading what's been done.
That's just.
And I get it. I get it. But
It's a fool's
all I'm
errand,
trying
to be
say
honest.
is, frame it how you like. I'm just trying to.
And I appreciate you relaying that message, but these are things that should have already been done.
Right.
And that's why SPD continues to have problems with trust, with everything, with community building and all that thing.
But the reality is, and I don't want to argue the point because these aren't my policies. I don't want to argue the point, but 2 weeks ago, none of these things were done. I mean, you have to acknowledge that. And I get you don't agree and you think that
How is that a justification?
I'm not saying
I don't think he's saying it's a justification. He's pointing out a timeline. I don't think he's
I
justifying
think
it.
maybe,
what the
Those
reality is.
things that were supposed to be done weren't being done.
And now they are, and it took all of this, it took this week of intense warlike, battle
Listen, I'm just trying to ground
to
you in
get the
reality.
things that we already should have had.
Right. And so I said I would leave with that. I said I would leave with that.
Can I comment though on that?
I don't have the detail to have an in-depth discussion
Oh,
on
no,
these,
no,
so
no.
but you can
read,
comment.
no, you read something, and I just wanted to highlight the tear gas ban, that, because we read what's been done.
Mhm.
The tear gas ban has been done.
Does that
But-
include other chemical
But when it was
agents?
done, it still happened
But
anyway.
listen, I can't go back to that. That's already happened. I'm just trying to tell you what's been done as a result.
See, and it seems like there's no remorse for what happened. I mean, that was
It's not his fault, he's the fire chief.
But
Right.
I mean,
No,
this is
yeah,
what I'm
it's
saying.
with all due
the
respect,
fire
sir,
chief.
then why are you here?
Well, I'm here to tell you why.
And where's a representative that we can
Well,
talk to
well,
and hold
listen,
accountable for
listen.
the things that happen?
If you let me talk.
I think that's the
I'm
office of
here-
the
I
mayor.
think
I'm
we're
here-
talking about safety in the barricade.
I'm the mayor's assistant.
Yeah.
I'm here to talk about fire and life safety issues. That's what
Would you
I'm
leave?
No, you haven't done.
Well,
So don't say you've done it.
You might have been changed
If
about
you
everything.
let me
medics,
talk.
the medics around here have been taking care of a lot of things, and they've gone through a lot of stuff. Military type medics, okay?
Yeah.
And when people try, when the police chief was saying that we were trying to burn down the police, no, we were trying to protect it and make sure that nobody did that. We, every time anybody even came close to looking like they were going to start a fire, we extinguished it.
And I appreciate that.
Well, I'm glad that you appreciate that, and I think that we should be able to work together because as a community, we're able to.
The chief been here every day though, fam. Like we got it on
Every
tape.
day.
The chief be here every day at 7 a.m. out
Well,
here.
hold on. We used your fire.
We did our best, yeah.
Just listen. You used your fire tools to put the fire out, right?
Well, there wasn't
Oh,
really a fire.
no, there was fire.
But we're ready.
Did you use your fire extinguishers to put the fire out?
Yes.
Okay. Did I drop you off more fire extinguishers last night? So I'm working with you on that.
Okay.
But it's not just about the fire.
And if the fire,
Well,
if they,
What?
So let me
You should let him
finish.
finish what he's
And
saying, bro.
I get the state you're in right now, and
I really don't
get
think
it.
you.
Why don't you let him finish what he's saying though?
Listen.
Talk.
Listen. I mean, we can ground ourselves in our personal experiences, and if that's what we want to do, we can do that. I mean, I have probably similar experiences as you. I grew up in Los Angeles under, the LAPD under Daryl Gates, and if I say that, maybe you understand what that means, but maybe you don't.
I'm from Detroit, and I
Okay,
grew up with.
So I'm grounded in the same experiences as you. But what I'm trying to tell you is, we also have the community that we're trying to protect. Not just the protesters, the people who live here, the people who are, and I know you don't care about that right
I
now.
do care about
but
that very much.
So let me just go over some things, and then we can talk about it. So when I came in on Tuesday, we talked about a 13-foot access space between the barriers. That has not held at all throughout the week. Fire code says 20, unobstructed. That's what fire code says, unobstructed. We haven't maintained any, and it's only been fortified as the week goes because cars are now parked in front of the barriers that completely, there's a maze to get through, and so let me cover it. So that was one important one. Sidewalk access to every residence and to every business. That's important. Our rigs need to be able to come in here, and they can't. And I'll leave you this. I got a list of the fire code items. The business community is reaching out to me. The people who live here are reaching out to me. A lot of people are reaching out. So I've been coming down here every day, so I haven't been hidden on talking about these things. You had a fire in the tent. I showed up with 2 more extinguishers and said, hey, we'll refill these if you use them. So I get everything you're saying. I'm not saying the medics haven't been doing a great job. I had my team reach out to the medics, and you should go look at some of the equipment that they have down there. It's because the Seattle Fire Department's been working with them.
Excellent.
So don't tell me what we're not doing. Right? That's almost offensive because I've been here.
Well, the fire department and the police department are 2 different departments.
But I
And
understand.
Did you
but-
gotta
but
shoot
I-
it?
well, we're all the city.
Chief,
So-
I'd like to speak on that.
Yeah, please do.
barricade. So I think one of the major disconnects that me and Mommy even had is that you guys are calling a vehicle with a driver and keys in it an obstruction. So what we need, those barricades are there for our safety. Those barricades are there so F-350 doesn't come barreling in and run somebody over. So if you're gonna ask us to move those vehicles, we need something else in its place that's gonna keep us safe. It's not that we're not willing to have the vehicles there, But as of right now, to us, that's not an obstruction because every time there's a vehicle parked, there's a driver and keys right there.
I understand go ahead.
Also, we've been having random people, so-called taking control and moving my batteries around. So that's one thing as well. I know we talked about the space, and that's exactly what I want, but it's been random people that have been moving my batteries. Like that lady that was just in here, that Bridget lady, that blonde lady that was just in here, she moved my barricades around the whole day.
There was
And
another
she told
guy
people that
yesterday.
she was in charge of that, and she was not.
What would you suggest for those barriers and for the sidewalk access? It still provides safety, but also would be like happy for you. Maybe you as the city.
So first on the ground here, what the fire code said. In section 503.4, it speaks to obstructions of fire apparatus access roads. Fire apparatus access roads shall not be obstructed in any manner. That's what the fire code says. For any public right of way, they shall not be obstructed in any manner. So that's what it is right now. That's what the code says. That's what the rules are. Clearly, we have 10th and Pike, 11th and Pike, and 12th and Pike that are clearly obstructed. We have 13th and Pine that's clearly obstructed. We have 12th and Olive that's clearly obstructed. We have 11th and Pine that's clearly obstructed, and then we have 11th and Olive. Clearly, and no one in here can disagree with it.
No, of course not.
So clearly, we have a problem. So what I recommend, I understand the protest. I understand the point. I recommend change the footprint and change the landscape, and relocate so we can serve the entire community.
So,
That you're asking, I'm just telling you.
Of course, absolutely, but it's just it's just convenient now. Now the rules. Work.
No.
Now we're gonna go. Now we're gonna play by the policy.
No,
the
no.
SPD.
No, can I highlight?
But hold on. It's not now we're playing by the rules. We play by these rules every day.
And the fire, I have the utmost respect for the fire
But
department.
let me, I want to provide
But it's
clarity.
like, the city, they want us to play by the rules, but their
No,
rules.
The reason why I'm here is I'm trying to ground you in what the normal rules are. These rules are the normal rules. So even when the Capitol Hill Block Party takes place, these are the rules.
Yes, I
They
do.
pull a permit. They have access points. We do all of these things for every event we have in the city. This is the only thing that happens in the city that this environment is taking place. These are the rules. Permits are pulled. We put firefighters on site for Capitol Block Party, for festivals, for street fairs, for games. These are the rules. The last week, we're not playing by the rules. So it's incorrect to say now we're playing by the rules. So I want to ground you in that because that's what reality is.
Well, I mean, but, yeah. Well,
You said block party. I think that's a great example because in block party you can't just drive onto the
Right.
street or block.
Right.
So how are we? So
Yeah.
let's get some of that going. Work with us in that regard.
Yeah.
Get us access points. Get us.
Can I highlight that the main reason why we have the barricades, or the main two reasons, is the first reason is we're trying to express our First Amendment, and we're afraid that in the middle of the night when, our numbers are lower and they're not strong in the thousands, that the police are gonna show up like they were the whole time and come up and arrest
That's
everybody.
incorrect. Hold on.
Well, no, I'm speaking to our fear.
That's hypothetical.
I understand, but let me ground you in the truth. They haven't done that.
Yeah.
They haven't attempted to do that. Even when Chief Best came on site the other day, all they did was go on the.
We're talking about before.
But they
They
did
pepper
that.
sprayed us.
she's lost all.
But
When
they-
they-
and you're the other day?
leaving, they pepper sprayed us.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
but
They
nobody.
did.
But you guys can't
But
let
nobody
the
got
police
arrested.
baggage become the chief's baggage. guys.
well,
nobody
well,
got
no, we're
arrested.
just talking
Well,
about,
where's the accountability?
we wouldn't need the
I mean,
barricades.
who's going to be held accountable? It's like,
We wouldn't need them at
everybody
all
shifts the
if
blame.
they would just say
I'm
not
that
talking
we're not
that's gonna be
gonna
held
I'm
arrest
not
you
shifting anybody.
on that.
And when I came down here, I told you the reason why I was coming down. We're trying to create access and egress for the residents who live here. So for the businesses.
Absolutely, and I think that's the utmost importance, is making sure that the business owners and the residents feel comfortable. And I've talked to some of those business owners. I used to work at Oddfellows. I was a sous chef there. I worked at Petty Rosso. I know Miki, I know Yuki, I know Linda. I know the people in these. Now I haven't spoken to them about this particularly,
I have.
but I know that a lot of these businesses around here have donated stuff,
Well,
want to be sponsors, and want to be involved further.
I've spoken
That
to a
doesn't sound
number
like
of them.
extortion to me.
I can't speak to extortion. I've spoken to a number of them, and they have expressed significant concern over these barricades. they're trying to survive right now, and we're not allowing traffic through here so they can survive.
They're trying to serve their business is trying to make money, and these people are literally trying to survive, and that's why the cars are
down if people
is
are just
because
saying we're not going to do these things. If we can just express our First Amendment, if we can just have the border without barricades, the barricades only need a border because
the barricade looks to be intimidating or whatever.
It doesn't look.
They move within a sec. We can get a 10-second timer and I can get that barricade empty for you. So
can I have one?
If we have to have an open space, we need to be able to be protected. It seems like a compromise that we need to reach. There's a way to open up these roads as much as possible to the residents and businesses, but there's core areas that I know that our community is going to want to hold and isn't going to want to let go, you know? Like to us, especially that station is the most important. The precinct. The precinct is the most important thing to us. So I heard that giving up 12 for traffic is very important, but I don't know if I see our, the community agreeing to giving up that avenue. So we got to come up with some kind of intermediate plan that's going to A, hold the spaces that we find valuable, and B, open up the roads that you need opened up.
Yeah, but if you say you're here, for which community are you talking about?
I'm talking about Capitol Hill, and I'm talking about the Capitol Hill that's filled with love. And in my opinion, I think that.
But this is your opinion.
This is just my opinion. Right. Absolutely.
We're not trying to talk about our opinions. If we're
But
supposed to
I think also
everything that I've said, you high roll, you make this kind of body language. But if you're on behalf of the businesses, I think that you have to be open-minded too, and you have to be able to communicate, not have your mind.
It's just one thing here, and it might just be a play on words, and so I'm just calling it out because there is a difference between a position and an opinion. And so, hold on, just let me finish. Okay, so I'm not being funny. That's why, but because everybody's hearing you, and that's why I wanted to put. Because if you are representing a body of people, then if it's the position of the group of people, then you shouldn't say it's your opinion. Because then it's the position of the people you represent.
They're one and the same.
Just like her, if she might feel that barricades should stay, but if she represents business and business is like they should go, the position of the people she represents.
They left, just like a lot of father figures, things like that. They don't get to come back, and when they do come back, they can come back on our terms. If the police want to come back and police here, they can leave their guns at the barrier and they can approach us like the community that we are. And they can get to know us, they can learn who we are, and they can talk to us like people. And us as taxpayers, if they're good enough, we'll let them have their weapons. We'll give them back their guns.
So you're talking about PD right now.
He's not PD.
I understand that.
But listen, I'm not talking about PD.
We're talking about moving forward, and we're talking about a community.
No, he's speaking to the fear of the barricade, why they exist.
Okay, this is how we're going to move forward too. We turn that precinct into a community, civil rights, police brutality, something. I know, but I'm just showing you where I think.
And I heard you.
May I finish though? My goal for Capitol Hill is in this area. We don't even need the barriers. Make those just something about the Duwamish land that it's on. And each corridor, each street is dedicated, with the art that it has, is dedicated to a different heritage of Seattle. You have Duwamish. You turn the corner, it's Hispanic. You turn the corner, it's Pacific Islander. You get all of these artists to design this extremely multicultural part of the city. And you turn it around. And we have the community, they police with us. And the fire department, you work with us as a community. You guys don't get to dictate everything. I know that's how it works. I understand that. And the rules, I love all these rules. But we're going to have to adapt to new ones that work for everybody. Because that's how we're going to come together as a community. And I'm not saying that I'm right. I would love to compromise.
Go ahead.
We're willing to work on the barricades, but my position is that the safety of the protesters is the #1 top priority. So if those barricades aren't up to par to keep them safe, then I'm not going to be happy.
And that's their #1 tactic, is driving into crowds.
It's happened twice.
It
had been at the Change Coalition. The youth coalition got attacked, and that wasn't covered by the media, by a driver right after.
This will make you happy, but will make us feel safe.
So first, let's ground us all in the same space. If anyone gets hurt here, my people are going to be on the ground here trying to help them too. So I don't want anyone to get hurt either. I want to make sure that we're all grounded in that same place.
Get hurt more.
We were-
It hurt more. Last night.
Yeah,
I'm talking
there was a
about-
whistleblowing and nobody came out from
If
anywhere.
anyone- Well, even in the past, anytime anyone's hurt, my people are on the scene. So, in the past,
We like
in
to
the present,
somebody not get
and in the
hurt
future,
though.
we're always there, helping people.
And we respect
That's what we do. So, we're trying to figure out the compromise. How can we compromise to help the neighborhood? Because if you speak for the residents of Capitol Hill, if that's the voice and the weight that you're carrying, then ones who are contacting me are saying something the opposite of you. The business owners are saying something the opposite of you. Here's an example. The apartment building, right here, the electric company, their only driveway access point is through this alley right here. Their residents haven't been able to park in their parking garage now, not just 1 week, but for 2 weeks. And I understand all that. So when I'm walking down the street and the resident grabs me, I said, when can I go home? It's a very real statement.
I challenge that statement though because we haven't stopped any residents. They
Yeah.
all have
When will
full
the
access.
brutality
And any
end? When will
ambulance
the
or any of
oppression
those people
end?
come
When will
out
the
here.
suffering end?
Please.
When will the racism end?
Maybe we could let
Yeah.
Carmen, who's representing the businesses,
Yeah.
speak a little bit and just give her a little room without interruption, so that just to honor the fact that she's representing a lot of people who are not feeling that they really have a voice right now. So I would thank you for that.
Thank you. There's a lot of businesses who, I mean, honestly, most of them are really pissed at the cops right now. Let's put that out there first, which is not you. Everybody loves the fire department. But there's been a lot of concern. Nobody likes getting gassed. Nobody likes having what happened. But they do absolutely need quick fire. They are very concerned about fires because there's been threats of fire. They're worried about getting in and out of their businesses. They're worried about having Uber Eats. These restaurants are already so struggling with the coronavirus, which I've had and recovered from, and it sucks, and nobody wants it. Like, they're already struggling from this. If we keep putting up barriers that make it so they can't get Uber Eats, they're going to be closed quick. And that is not going to unite the community because, I mean, everybody likes their coffee shops and their restaurants. We all have our favorite spots that we like going to. Those are community hubs. If we can't keep those running, and everyone might say, yes, they are businesses, this is money versus human lives. Human lives do come first. But these businesses are part of people's lives. These are really important, and we do absolutely need to let them make money. For God's sakes, we need to make it so they can get their deliveries in the morning. Early morning is when restaurants get deliveries, and there have been deliveries turned away. Then Uber Eats drivers, they've got to be able to come in and out all day long, in order to have deliveries, because that's basically what people are, like the restaurants, it's the majority of how they're making money right now, is through Uber Eats. We have to be able to have through traffic and keep people alive. I don't want anyone driving into the crowd. Like, I don't know anyone who wants that. No, except for white nationalists, and they can protect themselves. But we do need to make it so the businesses here survive this thing. Because if they don't survive this thing, or if they feel like they're gonna end up like Queer Bar, which was gutted, they're gonna be scared, and they are scared, which is why I'm not a business owner and I'm representing them, is because none of them feel comfortable standing out from the crowd. They're all too scared to stand out in front of the crowd. And so that's...
May I speak on that as well?
I think we were not going to interrupt her. I thought we were going to let her finish. Can she finish, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. If we don't actually have, like, if we do kill businesses, honestly, if we kill them by killing their income, you're going to turn the community against you fast. And I realize human lives are most important. We need to find a way that nothing burns down, that like Uber Eats drivers can come in and out, that we can support the people who live here, the people who are, as you said, are delivering food and helping out. This community loves diversity. They love parties. They love controversy. This is a community that is built on stirring up a little bit of trouble, and that's fine. But we also have to support the people who are actually here. There's businesses that have been here for a very long time. They're boarded up because they're scared. Like, there's a lot of businesses that are boarded up because they're scared.
Would they be willing to contribute to like a night patrol, because it seems to be like like at 10 p.m. to like
I want to have like
5 a.m.
There
What
are
if
some
the
old
street
people.
Well, what if the streets were completely open? What if, like, hypothetically, the barricades weren't there, and then the businesses and us got together, whether, you know, with funds and volunteers, and cameras, just witnesses to bear witness, to what we're afraid of.
What you said, I think, was very, like, I think there's a lot of voices that are being suppressed during all of this, and people are confused, especially like white people, to be honest. You know, I think that they're kind of leading for direction. I know I like mentioned, like, motion to you. But I've spoken to a lot of white people that are afraid to voice their opinion. Business owners, like you say, that are afraid to come forward because exactly, they don't want that kind of backlash.
And it's not just white people.
And that needs to be, you know, that there shouldn't be those barriers. They should feel comfortable being able to voice their opinions, you know, because as a community, we should be able to tackle this together. There shouldn't be any fear.
There's
the
a
police
national
department
fear
shouldn't be
with
afraid
guns.
of us.
You need business
Oh yeah, that's what guns are banned in here. We don't have
They have
You don't have guns?
anybody that has gun, and I know that makes some headlines on the right wing, and this is a violence-free zone, because that represents Capitol Hill. We handle everything non-violently and with patience.
But I'm trying to make sure
I'm not communicating that, no, but that, they do not speak on behalf of Capitol
So
Hill.
let me, we said we're gonna speak honestly.
Absolutely.
So don't sit here and tell me that.
I didn't.
Just let me
I
finish.
didn't say that.
Let me finish. Don't sit here and tell me there weren't people with guns.
I did not say
When
that
I've
there
seen
were.
people with guns.
I did not say that they were.
Isn't Washington an open carry state?
That doesn't that does not represent Capitol Hill.
Listen, I didn't ask if it was an open carry state. He said
No.
there hasn't been people with guns.
Sir, please
And
don't
I said,
put
tell me.
words in my mouth. I did not say
Tell me
that.
what you said.
Well, I didn't answer that question directly, but I will say that those people that were armed do not represent Capitol Hill at all. That's not what we stand for, and we'll never stand for that.
Thank you.
And that person that did bring that isn't allowed in here. And when we do see him in here, he's banned.
Okay, well, that's not my voice, or I don't even think the security team's official stance. The Second Amendment right is a whole completely other
It's a
thing.
different
You can carry on in
conversation.
here. You can
While
carry on
there
in here.
have been,
And we're
yes,
talking about the barricades.
in the nighttime, especially the first couple nights, Monday night we had a Proud Boy threat, Wednesday night we had a 3%er threat. Yes, those evenings there were some citizens here who were armed, following their Second Amendment rights. The bad
Warlord.
the bad optics were when it was in the daytime. So since then, we have asked all of our security team, if you are armed, please do not arm yourself during the daytime. So as of right now, during any daylight hours, there are no armed guards.
And if they do not have a gun,
As of right now, and another thing I want to, I hear you and I feel that, but I also want to challenge one more time the idea of can't get in, because I'm curious if it's can't or if it's not trying, like especially in the instance of the Uber drivers.
they like the council stuff.
They're not being held. I suspect they're getting to the gate, turning right around without even trying. And that we can't do anything about that except for maybe beautify our barricade so it doesn't look as scary to enter.
So,
And we have to do
And Mommy might have something to say about that.
Well, first I'd like to, if we have the time, to allow the chief to finish. I think that he has still some information to convey, but it would be great if we could start to move to a set of physical changes that would allow you to feel safe, for the residents to feel safe and free to be able to coexist peacefully, and for you not to feel that you have to, be constantly
How are we supposed to feel safe when a word like we're not going to use tear gas means nothing?
listen.
Yes,
we're-
so
we're-
right now, if we could contain this discussion to, because I know the real reason that you were here is against police violence and because Black Lives Matter, that is the essence of it, but there's also just the sheer tactical, physical stuff that we also need to figure out, right? So let's,
What would you like? Tell us what you need.
Let me cover
These guys
this,
will take
so we're grounded, and then we can talk about that. So I've identified a number of areas in the fire code that are being compromised right now. Section 104.11.2 obstructing operations. There's no way we can get in here and do any operations currently. That's the first one at the top of the page. 503.4, obstructions of fire apparatus access roads. It says no it says no obstructions. It's very clear in that. In section 104.11, the authority at fires and other emergencies. We cannot get into this space to do any of these emergencies that are listed in that paragraph. 102.9, matters not provided for. This gives the fire chief or the fire code official the authority to identify any of those other hazards and make necessary changes to make it safe for the community. We do this every day throughout the entire city, not just right here. Outdoor assembly event. When any outdoor assembly event in the city is going to be held, we meet with them, we talk about the fire and life safety issues, we come to agreement so they can have a safe event. We do this all day long. 503.1, we're required. Fire apparatus access roads shall be provided and maintained with these sections. Buildings and facilities, for example, 503.1.1, we need to have 150 feet of access road for any building in the city.
What's access road? I'm just curious.
The street.
Just the
How
street.
are they making concessions for these rules for things like the block party? Because obviously those rules don't all apply.
Right. We build a plan, we build access points, we build access roads.
And you're willing to
get
do
in.
this with us?
When I came out here on Tuesday, this is what we started to talk about.
But then everything stopped. We had barriers that were supposed to be put in, and all that stuff stopped.
I'm sorry, this is Sam Zimbabwe.
I'm Sam Zimbabwe.
Hey, Sam.
Hey. But you guys stopped us. We were pulling out the metal barriers, and you guys said no, do that.
Yeah, the metal barriers, yes, but we're supposed to be putting the planters in.
But I can't get my guys in here.
What Mommy and I had discussed was a
We
direct
have access for everyone to get the planters in. There's access. There's access.
What we had discussed was a direct
I was there that day.
bring us the plan,
You guys stopped and left.
take out the metal at the same time.
You guys saw them last.
But that's not the case. We brought in planters here.
At one
At one location. You're supposed to put planters in a lot.
But we were also working to pull things
So
out.
I would suggest that we put the past with respect to the stops and starts. Everybody's been learning,
Yeah.
and this is an evolving situation. I think we've got to the point where we better understand the interests and deep, serious health needs of everybody. So Sam is here after the chief gets to do this thing to talk about the future changes. So, physically, and I'll help, but let's let the chief finish.
Yeah,
Thanks.
so this is how things evolve. The conversations that have taken place from Tuesday to today, there are a lot. And this is when I heard from the business community, in between that day when we were trying to reshape it till today. What I heard from the business owners is they want the roads open. The fire code requires us to open up the roads. So one of you asked me earlier, what would I like to see? I would like to see the roads open, and let me finish. And I would like to relocate to the park. If you need to create a space around the facility to feel like it's held, then do that, and let's figure that out. So you asked me what I want. That's what you
So that means
mentioned.
you'll have an open road for somebody to run down anyone that's standing in front of the precinct.
Would you be willing to help us create a barrier around the precinct?
Well, this is why our director of transportation is here.
Yeah.
But would you be willing to relocate to the park?
I can't
No.
answer that. I can't.
No, and those borders stay. I mean,
We'd be willing to help open up those roads, but not willing to
Absolutely.
fully give up that 12th and Pine intersection.
no, the borders stay and the barricades stay, but we want to make it accessible for. I want to what would you do in our situation, in these guys' situation? I mean, if you're on this side, how would you manage it? I'm curious.
That's a tough question. I'm not on that side. I'm on the side of fire and life safety.
But as you see it every day, what would you do?
I'd relocate to the park.
Well, I mean, that's
that's
a company.
That's
No,
our
but
job.
listen,
What would you do as a person?
but if you don't want, and you mentioned it multiple times, if you don't want someone driving down a road over people, you move people off the street.
We're more afraid.
That's what you do.
I'm more afraid of the police. So, I mean, I'm not
Then
going
it's open,
to.
then
I
run
don't
to the
expect,
park.
I don't expect this protest
Look
to
at
be
the drive
willing
right
to
to the park.
concede the precinct.
In which case, can't we
No, it's ours now,
just give up
unfortunately.
everything except the street?
They're welcome to come back,
park,
and it's a-
only have that
it's a
street
learning
and
opportunity.
Let's have one conversation that we have to pay attention. So, you asked me what I would do. I told you what I would do. Then I understand where You aren't willing to concede, so
Not
how do
even me.
we?
I don't think that the people will be willing to do
No,
that.
they won't.
And what I think could be possible is moving each of these barriers back maybe half a block or so, giving up some space, but not giving up the precinct. I discussed maybe the possibility of just using the parking lane.
And those parking garages too, making sure that the residents can get to their
2
parking.
days
is
ago when I
important.
was out here, and we were meeting probably about a half a block up on Pine and 12, that's the exact conversation we were having. And the disruption occurred because there were so many voices. Because we even walked up to the space and said, okay, if you moved it back, where would you move it to? That's why we even walked up there.
Let's have that
Yeah.
dialogue again.
Chief,
Yeah.
so actually this is off Twitter, so maybe people are crowdsourcing. But it says maybe you guys put a chicane, you know, where it's, so yeah, I had to look it up too. But like you see where you got like, you know, planter on one side of the street, and then you go, and then there's a planter on another side. You know what I'm saying? Of where it goes
Sam, you
back.
know what that is?
What's that called? It's called a chicane. All right, so I'm just giving you guys real bad feedback. This is the community that's watching, and they just tweeted that. But if you put a chicane thing, and then nobody can just drive straight through, that's their biggest concern. But anyways, just wanted to.
Yeah,
Here's
yeah, it's
the-
Thank you.
beautiful.
I mean,
Beautiful,
It still
gorgeous.
doesn't give you that intersection. That allows traffic to flow through. I mean, cars are moving through that space.
Can a fire truck get through that?
We have to measure
So
that.
12th Avenue is 3 lanes. It's 2 lanes and a turn lane. What I suggested is maybe give us one of those lanes. You know what I'm saying? Give us an area around the precinct, and then we can have 12th Avenue be a 2-lane road.
And so 12 and Pine would be able to open up in north and south.
Yeah.
And you were only talking about just the parking lane from the edge of the precinct.
From the edge of the
between
precinct.
two spots and the precinct over to Pine.
Over to
So
Pine.
that it basically is just creating a
Yes.
bump out.
That way we would still have control and protection of the precinct, but we could open up that 12th Avenue. That's not, again, I have no say, I'm not, an actual decision maker, but that was the idea that I had that I thought could work.
So this is the precinct and this is 12th and Pine.
So this is a 3-lane road.
Yeah.
This is 2 lanes and a turn lane.
No, I understand.
If you gave us just this lane and gave us a barricade here, like so, or even like so, and give us, it'd be nice if we could keep Pine blocked off. Right. The thing is, we would have to have our people on the inside of this barricade to keep them safe. Anyone walking on the street, it'd be just like any other street.
So then you're basically wrapped around the building.
Wrapped around the
But if a
building.
car runs into someone, they're running someone.
We would need those barricades to be heavy.
So that would be the water.
We would need to have the, can we fill them with water? Because if they're full, no car's gonna stop them. But we have to promise that they're gonna be full.
Okay.
We have a tanker there.
Well, here, I'm gonna put my public safety hat on again. Let's not fool ourselves. I've seen cars hit these water barriers
Yeah.
and they explode just
Yeah,
like
the water,
everybody else.
Okay,
it's
thank
not
you.
gonna.
The true way to keep people safe is to get them out the roadways. That's why I said when you asked me what my utopian solution would be, it would be the park because no one's in the street. But if we can work with,
They don't want to push everyone to the park.
no, I said,
You just
no, I
threw
said-
tear gas on everybody.
No, it's not that. We already have a large group of people that are in the park. We have the community gardens.
On top of
If
that,
you push everyone to the park, there's gonna be too many people and
Right.
fucking tents are gonna burn and all type of shit.
yeah,
Can I just
unfortunately.
say, I think a lot of the feeling of conflict is also created by the feeling of the barrier. That the idea that somebody would want to come in and attack a group of people who are peacefully demonstrating and exercising their First Amendment rights is also created by the perimeter and the feeling right now. And I know that there were, we all had fears of threats of people coming from outside, but if the message that we're sending out to the world is not one of conflict and one of barrier, but one of demonstration, then I think it's reason for somebody to think that there's anything.
Now we demilitarize. That's it.
Because that guy that came in, I don't know why, I don't work anything, we didn't know that. He just came in the crowd and shot somebody. So we don't want those type of traffic.
I understand, but that's going to be a risk no matter, even in the park, that can be a risk, right?
He got past the barricades, he got past the first set of barricades. So the idea is,
right here.
you have to say something,
Transition to help the businesses and help, well, I mean, not speak for the businesses, if we wrap the front of the precinct.
I think that is a much better option than
Where we are
walking the
right now.
street. Much
So
better option.
can we walk it, so we're all grounded in the same space, and we're not trying to.
I know that 10th and Pine barricade, the one that already has the planters, I know that's a pretty, like, I don't think they're gonna want to move from there. I think that.
But we could give up, we could allow 10th Street.
Yeah,
to move.
I believe that's possible, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
10th Avenue keeps on getting closed at night, but it's open during the day, I think,
Yeah.
because the businesses open it back up.
Yeah.
I also think, you know, that we all from the city appreciate the mural that got installed, and I think things that we can do to preserve the mural, and like,
Right, so that-
we're trying to think about how both in the street and some of the other art that's been installed.
So that area on Pine from 10th to 11th, we would want to keep that as protest space. Yeah.
In the memorial, the
Right.
Yeah, and
Right.
until.
And so we want to think creatively about how to
Can
do
check
that.
that. I have concerns about the paint. We go on a lot of slip and falls around the city, and if they didn't use the right paint to paint that mural, what I expect to happen is when the rain starts to come, there's gonna be some slip and I'm just putting that hat on. You guys tell me if I'm wrong or not.
No, I like it.
You know, but it's real.
We'll just have everybody sign a release.
So let's walk and walk.
Let's walk again.
Let's walk this.
Let's also, you know, make sure that we first understand that the moving industry, the footprint of them.
But we need to make that announced to everyone, so everyone is aware. So we're gonna have a show.
You need to be able to peacefully protest and to have.
I mean,
You guys need to.
I mean, as long as
Good time, allow you to.
I mean, as long as you guys can, you know, make a good faith, you know, statement to us, and you'll give us the
We'll do it after the weekend.
You know what?
So we'll look at it, check it out, and then
Thank you.
take a couple days to really think about it, and then we'll.
Thank you for opening the space for us.
And this is all going to get brought to the town hall meeting. Like, none of this is anything unless until it's been talked over at town hall.
I would just say this, man. This is you guys' issue as day one to try to report on it, man. You know, you guys as the protesters, residents of CHAZ. Chief got his own issue that's his. He ain't got a lot of it though. But the police chief, the mayor, everybody. But man, all this stuff's gonna start with you guys being able to communicate. And people gotta understand, unless it's a very small granular issue, open this street, close this street. A lot of these big stuff ain't gonna be resolved in one day with the chief. But I would say this though, is like, man, if the chief is bringing you guys a message, man, I think that you guys should formalize something and then send the chief with a message.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? Because it's like, man, you know, like, do this, do that. That's cool. But like, man, he actually goes back and talks to the mayor. He's talking to Chief Bass.
And we appreciate that.
So, well, man, send a coherent message that can be delivered that the chief can take back there because clearly that's what's going on. That's why he brought a message from other departments that don't even belong to him. You know, because he's carrying the message to you guys. So let you guys figure it out, man.
So let's take one.
Appreciate you.
No, thank you.
I'm going back to sleep.
You come back for some breakfast if you want.
All right, Chief. I'm going back to bed, man.
Thank you.
I'll catch you in the CHAZ.
See you next time.
Thank you, sir.